In this lecture, we'll see a C program to check if the two numbers are equal or the first one is either greater than or lesser than the other number. Also, by using this example, we'll try to understand the working of else if clause. Here, before implementing the else if clause, I'm writing the same program with multiple if statements. Let's start with the program. Here, I'm starting my program with a comment. That is C program to check if two numbers are equal or one is greater than or lesser than the other number. Then comes a preprocessor directive, that is #include, using which I'm including the standard input-output header file. On the next line, we have the main function with return type void. Inside the main function, I'm declaring two integer variables, that is num1 and num2. Here, by making use of printf function, I'm telling the user to enter two numbers. By making use of scanf function, I'm accepting the values of those two numbers. And this is the logic for checking if the two numbers are either equal or the first one is either greater than or lesser than the second one. So in the first logic, I'm putting multiple if statements. The first if statement is if number 1 equal to number 2. This is an equal to operator. So when two numbers are equal to each other, the printf function will print two numbers are equal. The second if statement is if number 1 is greater than number 2, then by making use of printf function, we will be printing this message. %d, which will take a place of number 1, is greater than %d, which is number 2. And the third if statement is number 1 is lesser than number 2. In this case, the message %d, that is num1, is lesser than %d, that is num2, will be printed for the user. Here I have commented the logic with else if clause. To understand its key points, first of all, let's execute the program with multiple if statements. So after writing the program, we have to save it. I have already saved this program with the name else if clause. .c denotes that it's a C program file. After saving the program, we can go to execute option and compile the code first. It can be seen here that this program has 0 error, 0 warnings. We can go back to execute and run the code. So here it is asking me to enter two numbers. Let's say the numbers are 4 and 4. And we can see the output, two numbers are equal. Let's try to understand the flow of execution. So after accepting the values for number 1 and number 2, it will come down to this if statement and it will check if the two numbers are equal or not. So as 4 is equal to 4, this statement, that is two numbers are equal, will be printed for the user. Even if the first condition is true, it will come down to the second condition and it will check if 4 is greater than 4 or not. As the condition is false, this printf statement will never get executed. It will come down to the third if statement and it will check if 4 is less than 4 or not. Again, as the condition is false, even this printf statement will not get executed. So the main flaw of this logic is that even if the first condition is true, it will still allow the execution of other conditions, which takes a lot of time for execution. And to overcome this problem, we have got the else if clause. Now let's comment out the first logic. And we'll keep the logic with else if clause. After making the changes, we have to save the program. Let's go to execute and compile the code first. As it can be seen here, this code has 0 error, 0 warnings. We can go back to execute and run the program. Here it is asking me to enter two numbers. Let's say the first number is 35, second number is 56. And we can see the output that 35 is less than 56. Let's try to understand the flow of execution. So after accepting these two numbers, it will check if 35 is equal to 56 or not. As 35 is not equal to 56, this condition is false. So it will come down to else if, and it will check if 35 is greater than 56 or not. As even this condition is false, it will come down to else and it will print the message. So here num1, that is 35 will come, is lesser than 56, that is num2. Let's try out a second scenario. So I'll go back to execute and run the code. The first number is 67, second number is 23. So here I can see that 67 is greater than 23. Let's try to understand the flow of execution. In the if statement, it will check if 67 is equal to 23 or not. As the condition is false, it will come down to else if, and it will check if 67 is greater than 23 or not. As this condition is true, the message 67 is greater than 23 will be printed for the user. Now in this scenario, this else block will never get executed because the condition is true here. So the major advantage of else if clause is that if a condition is satisfied, other conditions below it are not checked. Let's try out a last scenario. So I'll run the program one more time. Let's say the two numbers are 78, 78. So here we can see the output that two numbers are equal. Let's try to understand the flow of execution. So it will check in the if statement if num1, that is 78, is equal to num2, that is 78 or not. As the condition is true, it will come down and it will execute the printf function stating two numbers are equal. In this scenario, the else if block and the last else block will never get executed. As we have just seen, the reason is if a condition is satisfied, other conditions below it are not checked. So in this lecture, we have covered an else if clause and its key features. In the next lecture, we'll see a C program to check if the number entered by the user is positive, negative, or zero using an else if clause. If you enjoyed this content, please like and share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, P for Programming. Thank you.